Sunday, everyone, and welcome to episode 16 of the Pit Stop Pals. Nielson and Gager with you once again. And boy, do we have a lot to discuss coming off of the final race prior to the summer break. No shortage of, well, for lack of a better term, fuel for the conversation today. That's for sure. Hungarian Grand Prix recap. We will get a little bit later on. We'll give you our trivia question, give you a chance to win a gift certificate to have your oil change done, and Mr. Lube, and one of these fancy Mobil 1 racing hats. And we'll get to your Pit Stop Pals podium coming up as well. But my man, Gager, that was quite the race, wasn't it?
It was, again, like throughout the whole progression of from practice all the way to the end. I mean, Latifi being like P1 after the third practice, I'm like, we're in the upside down here, Dusty. I don't know what's going on. And then just what happened in qualifying, and George Russell coming out of nowhere with an unreal lap. Like, and you heard him talk about in the paddock and talking to, it was a banger lap, and he did, the first corner was unbelievable, the second one was, and I couldn't believe, like, it was just amazing for him to get his first pole. And then Red Bull's troubles in qualifying, and Max and Perez way back in 10th place. Max starts at, and he ends up winning the race. It's so bizarre. It's so bizarre what's happening here.
It was quite the day. We'll dive right into all of it with our Pit Stop Pals podium, brought to you by Mobil 1 and Mr. Lube. Have your Mobil 1 synthetic oil change done at Mr. Lube. Same day oil change and tire service. No appointment necessary. Mobil 1 doesn't just keep your vehicle running. It keeps your engine running like new and running like Max Verstappen. Let's start there, Gage. It was like qualifying was a mess compared to what we usually see from these guys. Verstappen starts in 10th, and I had a buddy who just started watching Drive to Survive like 2 weeks ago. Hadn't watched a race yet. He's very fired up. He texted me yesterday after qualifying was locked in, and he goes, "How many spots do you think Verstappen's going to move up in this race?" And I immediately replied, I'm like, 6 or 7 at least.
Yeah.
And then he goes and gets them all, buddy. That was just, and it wasn't even, like, it was just a phenomenal day. Just picked his way through the field. When they pit at the right times, they managed to get out ahead of guys, and to go from 10 to 1 as smoothly as they did, I was very impressed.
Well, I mean, we already people are predicting Max to win, right? And then you see just the troubles in qualifying, and you're thinking, and you see what Ferrari was able to do. You're thinking, okay, well, maybe before summer break, you're thinking Ferrari can at least gain something back. And you knew Max was going to move up, but geez, Dusty, he just blew by everyone and just made short work. And it's not only his driving, because there was a little bit Checo was complaining there was something wrong with the sound in the upper gears. I think he said at one point on the radio, and then Max was worried a little bit too about some reliability issues. But man, Red Bull's just so far ahead of the game with what they're doing. I mean, starting on the softs, making sure, when you're in the race, you have to use the 2 different types of compounds. We'll probably get to Ferrari's woes, but they're to lack of a better term, they're hitting on all cylinders, Dusty. And Max is just like, you heard him afterwards just saying, if you would have told me we would have won this race when we woke up, I would have said you were crazy, basically. And then he just dominates by 10 seconds. Just unbelievable.
So let's think about that. If you're the rest of the field, right? Max Verstappen saying, "Man, if you would have told me I would have won today, I would have said you were crazy." And then he does it. And there was 2 McLarens there. The Alpines were there. You had, and we'll get to Ferrari in a second. We'll get to what Mercedes was able to accomplish today. But if you're the rest of the field, like, how can you possibly have any hope moving forward when he had to do what he did today? And what they say, Jenson Button went from 16th to first place at the Hungarian Grand Prix at one point. But for Verstappen to have the year that he's having, just to make everybody else essentially look silly today. I mean, he should not have won this race, but he won this race. Like, how can you not stop him from doing that? That's everybody else has got to be sitting there going into summer break being like, can't stop him. You just can't stop that Red Bull car right now.
Well, you can't stop the Red Bull car. You can't stop him, but you can't stop the team either, Dusty. Like everyone else is making, Mercedes is making some right moves too, which is maybe like, it's funny how maybe 2 races ago, Red Bull's looking at Ferrari as their biggest competition this year, but now you're looking at 2 really good drivers in Lewis and Russell that who knows, like there's still a lot of races left, right? And the last 2, they're finishing on the podium. This is what's really cool. Today was I think it was Martin Brundle said it's so great to have 6 cars in the top, right? So Mercedes, Red Bull, and Ferrari. So there are 6 cars battling each race, and I'm sure, this break couldn't have come quicker for Ferrari. I think Matteo Bonotto had to go yell in pillow into the like he just had enough after a while. He had to take a break, a little pause. But it's going to be tough. I don't know what I might have to move over to IndyCar here to soothe my
for the next 3 weeks.
Get my fix here.
Let's get to the second spot on the Mobil 1 Mr. Lou Pit Stop PALS podium, and for that, let's go. We're gonna get to Ferrari. We got a lot to say about Ferrari, but let's go to Mercedes next. And Gager, back-to-back weeks, double podium, and I would say probably with about 10 laps left, for sure. Once he got around Sainz, and then I was like, just let him go. If Russell just let him go and see if he can track down Max, because Hamilton's car on those soft tires certainly had the pace. And I know it only took a couple of laps and he got by Russell anyway, but as soon as he got by him, I was like, get out of the way. You're not, like, Russell wasn't going to hang on with the way Lewis's car was moving. So that's why I was just like, let him go and take a run, Max. And at the same time, I was like, give me the rain. Give us some rain. Give us some rain. And then when they went to the virtual safety car, I was like, full safety car, back them up. Like, I'm so desperate to see Max and Lewis go at it for a couple of laps here. And, I thought Lewis had the car. He would have had a significant advantage if they would have kind of brought everybody back together. But, overall, a really good day. I know Russell started on the pole and ended up finishing third. But when you go back-to-back weeks with double podium, considering the season you've had so far, Lewis, Hamilton, George Russell, and all of Mercedes got to be pretty pumped from today.
Oh gosh, yeah. I'm just looking at the constructors. Like now it's they're only 30 points back of Ferrari, right? Like who would have thought that a few races ago? So,
yeah, they're knocking on the door now, man. They're heading out of summer break. As of this moment, I don't know who I would say I'd take to finish second in the constructors right now, because you can't trust Ferrari, and Mercedes is trending in the right direction.
Yeah, no, it's Red Bull's they're way ahead. They're a little under, like, what is it, 93 points ahead or whatever it is. But it's amazing to see how that Mercedes car functions, because it's a little bit off, right? Like they don't seem to get the tires under them quick enough in the race. It takes some time to get them in that window. But again, great strategy with the Mercedes car, letting Lewis manage those medium tires that he was on so he could get to that point and then throw on those softs, and he just ripped it apart. It was really great to see the silver arrow flying like it did in years previous. That was awesome. So yeah, I was doing a little rain dance in the living room.
I was like, come on, it's coming anyway. Just give it to us right now. Let's see this thing even up. I would have loved to have seen Max defend in the rain against a charging Lewis Hamilton on softs that were just in the perfect spot. That would have been that would have been fun to see, buddy. That would have been good. But back-to-back double podiums for Mercedes, and as Gager mentioned, constructors standings-wise, they have very much closed the gap here. I mean, there could be one race away, depending on what happens with Ferrari, from at least moving into that same area there right now, just less than 30 points back. And the third spot on the podium is Ferrari again. Gager, I know I haven't been following the sport very long, a couple years in now. And I know I have no experience being down there making decisions on strategy. But after you see what happened, it was Alpine that went to the hards, right? And it killed them. I thought they would have had the car to certainly take care of McLaren today. And then they went to hards, and it fell apart. And then they bring Leclerc in, After first of all, they got Sainz and Leclerc, and then they bring in Sainz first so they could get Leclerc back out in front of him, and that's what they end up doing. And then when they put hards on him, buddy, I don't know what they were thinking. What could they have possibly been thinking when they decided to throw the hards on Charles Leclerc?
Dusty, it's getting to the point where I'm really second guessing myself whether I'm going to buy a Ferrari or not. Like that's bad. And it's not only I was looking at because K-Mag had some trouble. He got into he had a black flag, and because his front wing was coming off, right? So he had to pit earlier, and he threw a pair of hards on. And in my geekdom, I was watching his lap times to see.
You're watching those hards, yeah.
Well, just the amount of data on the F1 TV channel they were giving, I was watching his lap times, and I wanted to see when those things kind of lit up, because essentially he's driving the white Ferrari, right? So they put on the hards, nothing, just those with the temperature of, I think it was like 17 degrees, the track was like 22, 23 degrees. It was just not the day to throw those hards on. And it just seems like everyone else knew that. Like I knew that from my laptop watching TV. Like it boggled my mind. And the broadcasters on the F1 channel, they didn't talk about it too much, but when you went over to the Sky Sports, the international feed, all those guys were all over. They were just like banging their head against the wall when they were talking about why are they putting hards on. And you saw it. Like Leclerc struggled mightily against Russell and everyone passing him because he just had no grip. Just another complete failure this weekend by Ferrari. I mean, I feel so bad for the Scuderia fans. Like, they just must be ready to sell the merch and jump ship. It's crazy.
Let's get to a comment here from NPC76. He says, Ferrari strategists are clowns. They should have put another set of mediums on and then go to the softs. It was at what point does somebody pay for this, Gager? It seems like every single week, our podcast, the other podcasts I listen to, Tim Hooray, like everybody is talking about, well, Ferrari, like, it's not even surprising anymore. Like, that's how bad it has gotten, that if you're these two guys, Sainz and Leclerc, they're great drivers. And yeah, they've made their own mistakes along the way, but how many times is your own crew going to kill your chances of winning the race, or in this case, finishing on the podium? I mean, there has to be some sort of change there. You're pissing away a season that for the first few weeks, you were in contention with Red Bull, and now heading into summer break, that's gone. Like, that's over. Red Bull's winning the Constructors' Championship this year. It's bizarre.
It's a completely blown year for those two. Like, they've done the kind of math and eliminated the DNFs for both, and still they have Leclerc ahead in the Drivers' Championship. If everything kind of worked out without these. The strategy, though, that's what gets me. It seems every weekend, Dusty, that you could look at Magnussen, you could look at both the Alpines, how they were doing. They fell right back on those hard tires. They were useless. So, and then just to put them on with maybe hoping that they would come to life at the end. With all the data that was available, I don't understand it. I mean, and again, you look at Red Bull, you look at Mercedes, their strategists are bang on this year. They're doing everything right. And I mean, you're going to look at Ferrari if they don't. I mean, this is going to be probably a tough summer break for them, I think. This is going to be we're going to hear a lot about this, I think, over the next few weeks. There could be some shakeups. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't follow it well enough to know that over the next 3 weeks is this time where you would make some changes in those key positions to try to salvage the rest of your season. A time with a football team, you'll get into a bye week and you'll be like, hey, this is the time. Like, boom, we got to pull the trigger on this. Because if you're Ferrari right now, if you just look at the driver's standings, let alone the constructor standings, Max is running away with these at 258 points. Leclerc's at 178. Checo, who's having a pretty decent season, but not a great season by any stretch of the imagination, he's at 173. He's 5 points back. Red Bull is 5 points away from sitting 1-2 right now. And I would argue that for a lot of the time, especially in qualifying and stuff, I like the cars of Sainz and Leclerc better than what Checo's rolled out there most weeks. So, like, that's just it's disappointing. Like, I can't being a Ferrari fan right now for people. I know what Ferrari fans have said, oh, this is it, how it's been for a long time. It just, I mean, it comes across very Toronto Maple Leafy to me. It's bizarre.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you look at it and they gotta worry about a lot of things. Like even qualifying it, the McLarens looked really good. They're close to figuring some stuff out there too. We know that Alpine's been quite competitive and kind of the top of that middle field kind of place. But man, Ferrari, they can find themselves like just the biggest fall off a cliff here. Obviously I haven't been watching this sport, but I'm just relating it to other sports that this is a monumental drop if they can't pull their socks up. And I mean, there's no way that they shouldn't finish second in the Drivers' Championship. Dustin.
If Red Bull and continues to run away with this, Gager, I got a lot of time for a Mercedes Ferrari battle for second. Like with what we've seen from those cars the last couple of weeks, man, give me that the whole time. I mean, that'll be enough. Not that I was going anywhere anyway, but that'd be enough to keep me sucked in every single week. Like
I had one. Yeah, there was one part. There was like 5 cars just battling. Like these cars are great for racing too. The fact that they can stay behind each other for so long. We saw last year that there was only maybe a couple laps before they had to back off and cool the tires down and get out of that dirty air. But man, it's a lot of fun to watch.
That's your Pit Stop Pals podium, brought to you by Mr. Lube and Mobile One. Have your Mobile One synthetic oil changed at Mr. Lube. Same day oil change and tire service. No appointment necessary. We'll give you that trivia question a little bit later on. But Gager's got 3 boards of information today. Gager, you got to show people these boards. Usually I got one. But
this is usually what I do. I write down some notes for the thing, right? So, but then since we went a little bit later, Dusty, I watched the race again, and I went with a little board, and then I was just watching the post show, and I just I put it down, just trying to be prepared, Dusty. But it was funny.
So what do you got? What jumps off the page?
Well, this is what I had because we've talked about the strategy with Ferrari, and they pulled the dummy pit call. Right.
Yes.
And George goes in and I like, oh my God, is this the turning point? They're actually playing the field. They're doing stuff. And then it doesn't make any difference. Right. It's ridiculous. I think it was a lap 17 when he came in. And then
it is funny when they go, oh, it's a dummy call. And right away I'm like, oh, and then right away again, I was like, it's Ferrari. Like it's.
And some of my favorite points on the race was like that. Well, Ferrari just you have to run 2 different compound tires and just that whole screw up. But then when Bonito went in, like left the pit wall and just went into the back, like I was like, what is that? Like, and even Tim Hauraney, he tweeted that out, and I was like, and I tweeted a bathroom break or something like that.
Yeah,
but
it just makes you look dysfunctional, no matter what it is. Yeah. You're like, come on, man.
I don't know they need a new lead, someone in charge there. But to see when Hamilton passed, was it Carlos, or you could see the Mercedes garage, and you saw Toto give it the double fist pump. And then when Lewis passed George, like with a few laps left, and you saw just Toto looking full yuppie with his Tommy Hilfiger with the scarf jacket and just leaning back laughing. And it was good to see old Toto Wolff, I guess, from the last few years having a little bit of a better time. Definitely at this race with Mercedes going 2-3 again.
Well, just Lewis Hamilton, his last 5 races, Gager, second, and this is going from today back, second, third. 5 straight podiums for Lewis Hamilton. Like there's a victory somewhere here after summer break. Like Verstappen is excellent, but things have gone wrong once in a while. Like something's going to happen. Maybe the Mercedes car just continues to get better and legitimately pushes, and there's a day where Verstappen just gets outraced by Lewis Hamilton. But even if there isn't that, there's a win coming somewhere here September, October for Lewis Hamilton.
Oh, easily. I think easily. And it's funny because Martin Brundle said at lap 9 that he says I could see Max winning this race with the pace that he was going in, right? Like, the other thing that was cool, George has that virtual safety car move down pat, I think.
No doubt.
Like he did it again right at the beginning of the race where he blew, he added, I think it was like 1.8 seconds right there. So it was cool to see him pull that 2 races in a row.
I was watching that, and they go to virtual, and they're all going along, and then they fire it back up, and he's like 2.5 seconds ahead. I was like,
"Yeah,
wait a second, how did that happen? That's not how far he was ahead before." So, man, that was really good.
It was really good. Like there was, and it was nice to see like Ricardo again because of those hard tires takes that 5-second penalty.
Yeah,
but then when he blew by, I think it was Alonso and I forget the other driver he passed, but he passed 2 guys there, and then he had the LFG going, and it was good to see the little honey badger back in it and doing. Yeah, I mean, he's finishing the points 2 prior 2 races, but obviously with the 5-second penalty, didn't finish in the points. But Lando looks good. A lot of cool battles today. A lot of really cool. Like Max went.
I thought it was a pretty entertaining race.
Very entertaining.
Yeah,
I did. I liked the strategy, but I think the biggest thing today was the elements. It was a cool weekend because we saw extreme heat, we saw just torrential downpours, and then we saw a track that was cooler where it really, depending on the car, it took cars different times to get those tires into the right windows. And you can see the difference between the cars. Like it takes Mercedes a little bit more, but then they seem to be able to go longer. Ferrari seems to get a lot of performance early, but then that starts to blister late. And then with Red Bull, it just seems like they're just really consistent. It doesn't matter. They can get those things going right away. But again, it's not the best. Not the best scenario to throw those hard tires on. We could all see it, and it cost Ferrari again.
Yeah. I thought it was a mistake by the broadcast crew when they're like, they're putting on hards. I said, no, they're not. No, they're not. Why in the world would they put on hards right now? Hards have not helped anybody so far today. I thought for sure, they just had seen the wrong color and then even it wasn't the case.
Even the fact that they were talking about rain though, like, so the hards, it would have been like Fred Flintstone's tires.
You can't get through anything with those hards in the rain.
So I mean, whatever.
just ridiculous. I texted you earlier today. I said if I was Charles Leclerc, I'd request a trade. That's it. Trade me right bleeping now. Like, let's go. Send me over to Mercedes, or hell, send me to Alpine if you want to. Like,
well, there's a seat over in Aston Martin, so
exactly. Well, we're gonna tie that all in. The trivia question is Sebastian Vettel today. We're going to give you a Sebastian Vettel trivia question. And if you want to answer the trivia question, all you have to do is slide into my DMs on Twitter. Congratulations. We usually announce it here. I'll message him later. Pitwall Nasty. On Twitter, you'll see him quite often pop up on there. He answered correctly with Schumacher and his 8 victories. That was the question last week. This week we got another $100, a little bit more than that, ranges from $82 to $137. A gift certificate to Mr. Lube, where you can get that Mobil 1 synthetic oil change, and you'll get one of the hats that Gager and I wear right here on the Pit Stop Pals as well. Slide into my DMs with the answer. In Sebastian Vettel's most successful season, how many times did he win? How many races did he win in his most successful season? So basically, which season did he win the most? How many wins was it? Slide into the DMs and give me that correct answer, and we'll get you into a draw for the prize coming out of this week's episode. Sebastian Vettel. Let's wrap up there, Gager. It's sad because he's going to move on. I'm just sitting here going, ooh, what's a team going to look like next year? Like I get kind of excited about that stuff. But, I was talking about it with Marshall Ferguson on my show this week. I wasn't around for that golden era. of Sebastian Vettel. But to see him win 4 consecutive championships with Red Bull, I joked, I said, I want Drive to Survive to work backwards now. Like, I want the prequels. Give me 2016. Give me 2015. Give me 2014. It would be fun because we know where they're at now. I want to see what it was before, so I might track some of that down myself. But pretty big story this week, and obviously not in a car that's going to do a ton of damage over his final 10 races, but still, I guess we kind of have to enjoy it while we got it.
Well, hey, he finished in the points today, which is cool. You know, that's really neat. It's funny, Dusty, you mentioned that because I, after hearing that he was retiring, I went back and looked at those 4 years at Red Bull, and I read some stuff. He was winning so much and so easily that he was becoming quite hated because it was just a joke. He was just winning every single race. So that would be cool to go back and see the hatred between all the other drivers between him. But I mean, gosh, he just seems like such a cool guy to be around.
Yes, you know? That's what it looks like. He just looks like a cool dude.
It just seems like, and he brings out his old F1 car and he drives that old car with I forget, and did a couple laps in that, like back in the 20s, that old thing that he's driving in and wearing all the stuff, and he's just he's one of those guys that,
outside of his takes on the Alberta oil sands, he looks like a pretty good guy to drive to cheer for over the last decade.
I'd like to sit down and have a Hefeweizen with him. I'm sure you'd hear some pretty good stories with him. But yeah, it's weird because I mean, looking back at this sport, you know, and I wasn't a huge fan, but I knew names. I knew Schumacher,
and you knew Vettel,
Villeneuve, and you heard Vettel, right? So it'll be interesting to see who the next great German driver is going to be, because it seems like it's every decade a German comes along and dominates for a certain amount of time. So we'll wait and see who that is.
One more time, that trivia question is, in his best year, how many wins did Vettel have? Slide into my DMs with the correct answer, and we'll get you into the draw for the Mobil 1 racing hat and the gift certificate from Mr. Lube. They've hopped on board with the Pit Stop Pals, and we thank them for that. It's episode 16, and we now head into the summer break. Gager, how are you going to get your fix here for the next few weeks, my man?
Well, it's going to be really tough because that F1 Manager doesn't come out to the end of the month. I was hoping it came out early so I could probably submit my resume for team principal to Ferrari by Spa. So, but that's not going to work out. I'll have to wait. And again, maybe a little Indy. I did go to the monster truck rally last night, so I'll have to look to.
You're just an auto head, a gearhead. You're a gearhead. What can we say? May I suggest F1 22, the video game? That might be something that you might want to dive into over the next 3 weeks. That'll give you your fix, Gager. Do it, buddy.
I know. A little bit too much. I might not come back.
I want you playing that game so badly because you will quit your job. It would be amazing. All right, that's going to do it for another episode 16 of the Pit Stop Pals. Once again, thanks to Mobil 1 and Mr. Lube for believing in us and hopping on board with the Pals. We will be back again. We'll see how the stories go, but we'll probably dish you a couple of episodes as we work our way through the summer break. Gager, talk to you later, bud.
All right, buddy.